Yeah, so that's why this the 5 evidences, the Nama Rupa. Some say the Rupa is die must be a form, must be a body. And there's another school that say no, Rupa is mind created, is mind made. So there's mind only school, or whatever school. There's so many versions. Yeah. Okay, so it's 8:30. Hopefully, I answered the question. Anyone else has issues or questions? Okay, then we can start.
Okay. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to MSBS Weekly Guided Meditation by Phra Goh. Today is the 31st August 2021. We would like to wish all Malaysians around the world happy Merdeka. And may it always be peaceful, prosperous, and safe from COVID. We are very grateful to have with us again Bhante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh. Bhante was born on July 14, 1985, and was ordained into the Theravada tradition of Thai Dhamma sect, Santi Forest Monastery in Johor in 2008, and spent his first 5 retreats in various forest monasteries in Malaysia and Thailand. He is currently the religious advisor to Buddhist Youth Network Singapore and has been conducting our weekly Tuesday guided meditation since last year. Today we are continuing on the topic of how to overcome greed, hatred, and delusion. We will be leading to a homage to the Buddha and taking our 5 precepts for Buddhists. Now let's compose our minds, put our palms together, and welcome Bhante. Over to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you, Terence. So we shall start in the opening chant and homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. And 5 precepts. Panatipada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu vichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, and good evening, everyone, and happy Independence Day to all Malaysian friends. today we are continuing this topic, right? How to overcome greed, hatred, and delusion. So to truly overcome greed, hatred, and delusion, then we can truly be happy. So regardless of occasion. So hopefully this makes it more special. Okay, next. So we've been covering the overview, Four Noble Truths. Where does this greed, hatred, delusion come from? So this greed, hatred, delusion comes from the second noble truth, cause of suffering. So we face all kinds of issues in life, now in the pandemic, work problems, relationship problems, existential problems due to this cause of suffering. Yeah? Okay, and we also talked about the methodology, right? How to overcome this suffering, which is the Eightfold Path. Right? Yeah, so next. Okay, and we've covered about the how this delusion manifests in various views and time zones. Yeah, okay, next. And again, the Four Noble Truths can be used as a technique to overcome this craving, greed, hatred, and delusion. So we mentioned that stress is actually the indicator that you are suffering. Whenever you feel suffering, right, or stress, or lamentation, pain, grief, it's because of something, because of number two, because of the greed, hatred, and delusion. So we have to do our own self-check. Yeah? This standard operational procedure, internal kind of check. Then you slowly apply the antidote to the poisons. Yeah, so the antidote would be non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. So we talk about loving kindness, impermanence. So that's what we use in our meditation all the time. And next. And we also talked about restraining last week. So the whole idea, right? I'm going to talk about how 5 aggregates are sort of manifest in all our 6 sense bases. And the Buddha talked about the first noble truth. Why is there this suffering? Why is there this stress? Right? So the totality of our experience is actually the 5 aggregates. And you see, hear, smell, think, taste, and touch. Right? It's using 5 aggregates. So we gave some examples. So for example, if you look at a screen, there will be the first aggregate called form. So you see their shapes and colors and all these are form. Yeah. So anything made of the 4 elements. So there's weight, there's light, there's movement, there's heat. So this is 4 elements. Yeah, so this is the screen. So from your visual cognition, yeah, through your eye door, there's form, there's also feeling. You like this color, you don't like this color, you like this shape, you don't like this shape, or you find it neutral. So there's feeling. And there's also perception. What do you call this picture, right? How do you read the words? So all these are perception. All the labels and jargons we've learned before in the past will give a name to the object. So you look at the pictures here, you can identify who is Terence, who is Jen, and who is Jan, who is Siwi. And so all these are perception. We perceive, and that's the way of the mind trying to recognize things. So they give a label. So it can be subvocal label, it can be experiential label. Before you even learn words, sometimes it's just by experience. Hey, you recall this experience before. No? So this is how the mind synchronizes, how the mind wants to recognize things. Okay, so there are many ways the mind can recognize things. So this is a kind of perception. And the 4th aggregate is mental formation. So in the meditation, we did about karma, yeah, habitual karma, where the mind create sensations on its own, like the elements that is produced, the feelings that is produced, occurring naturally, that is all karmas ripening, mental formations arising naturally. Avidya, paccaya, sankhara, ignorance, conditions, mental formations, or ignorance, conditions, karmic formations. So all this karma is occurring all the time. Things are forming all the time. Right? Whatever we perceive, things are creating and creating all the time. So the new karmas that we create is actually our craving. New karmas. Yeah, so that is another kind of formation. But okay, we talk about old karmas first. Yeah, so that is the natural occurring thing. And I'm not sure if some of you may have gone through this experiment. We did this finger pointing experiment. Point, where is your attention now? Every moment, try to point. Where is your attention? Do you know where is your attention? Every moment. Can you detect where is your attention? And sometimes to yourself, sometimes to the screen, sometimes some other places, right? We cannot stay still 24/7 at one place. So mental formation always impermanent, always changing, right? So this is not attention deficit disorder. And sometimes I don't trust this this new science or this new field of psychology, whatever it is. Okay, so the next aggregate is called consciousness. Consciousness means the knowing, the awareness. So you're aware with your eyes, so that is eye consciousness. Yeah, depending on your eye organ. Yeah, because we are not blind, that's why you can see. Then there are these colors and shapes. Then when these things meet, there is contact. Then when there's eye, when there's form, then eye consciousness arises. And dependent on eye, dependent on all these shapes and colors, then eye consciousness arises. If there is nothing to see, then no eye consciousness. Or if there's no eyes, yeah, your eyes are not working, then there's also no eye consciousness, right? So this is dependent on each other. So you depend on the organ, dependent on the external stimuli, and eye consciousness arises. So these are the 5 clinging aggregates for the eyes. How about the ears? Ears also same thing. When you hear something, you hear a sound, hear what I'm talking, right? So that vibration to your eardrum, that is 4 elements. 4 elements. So that vibration alone, you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Then you have this thing called perception. The brain needs to decode what are all these vibrations about. Yeah, so this is perception. Then there's also feeling, whether you like the sound, you like the tone, you like the melody or whatever, right? So you have likes, dislikes, neutral feeling. So that is the second aggregate. The fourth aggregate again, this mental formation. And the mind can be running to the sound, the mind can be running to the sight, the mind can be running here and there. So these are volition, mental formation. And the awareness, the knowing of the sound, that is consciousness. It's because the mind runs through that ear consciousness. That's why according to dependent origination, mental formations comes first before consciousness. Yeah, sankhara, paccaya, vijnana. Yeah, it's not consciousness first before this mental formation. So some people stay with the knowing mind, stay with the knowing mind. So no, you have to mindful of impermanence. There's something before knowing. Yeah, so you have to catch these formations because these third noble truth we call cessation. Cessation of what? Cessation of formations, cessation of karmas. You need to find the root cause of all these karmas. You must find how it arises, how it passes away, then you can detach. If not, you keep following the stream. Anybody can know. Anybody can know. A non-practitioner also know. A thief stealing, a robber stealing something, they also know. They have to be very aware. And they're aware of the security guard, they're aware of the cameras, they're aware of the timing, they are aware of the escape route, very aware. Yeah, robbers and burglars are very aware. So this is not the kind of awareness we are training. Yeah, so we are practicing this impermanence as part of restraint to cut off this desire, cut off formations, yeah, reduce the formations. So that's for hearing. Same for tasting, smelling, same, right? Similar. Then your touch, which is our nervous system. So for the breath meditation, it's more touch. When we visualize the body, we visualize the hairs, visualize the nails, the teeth, skin, we're using the mind door consciousness because our eyes are closed. I ask you to think of your hair. So you imagine your hair. So that is mind or consciousness. You're not using your eyes, that's you're using your mind. Right? So whatever happened inside of you, only you can see. Right? So this is mind or consciousness. So total 6 senses. Right? So, but this mind door, very interesting because the mind is so subtle. Right? There's also 5 aggregates. So we call this the first aggregate subtle earth element, subtle fire element, subtle wind and subtle water element. And it's not quantifiable externally, but at least it is quantifiable for you to experience internally. Right? So that's why we have these things called mindfulness internally, mindfulness externally. So you need to be mindful what's in your mind, also mindful what's outside. So if a person visualize not 32 parts of the body, they can let go internally, but once they open up their eyes, they see external objects, wow, so beautiful, this product, so nice. No, cannot apply, right? So you need to be mindful of both. You need to know how to apply externally as well. Sometimes practitioners are encouraged to superimpose that image externally. Whatever you remember in your mind, then you imagine outside to be like that. So some case studies are like this. There are some people who specialize in meditating on bones, visualization of bones. So the whole day they think of bones, skeleton, skeleton, skeleton. So when they look outside, everything also skeleton. Yeah? They must superimpose that perception of skeleton or whatever you want to specialize. When I was in the medic course, we did so much intravenous sessions on each other that when we look at everybody, we just look at the veins, the perceived veins. Look at the blood vessels and veins of everybody. See how big are your blood vessels. So not that we are Dracula, a vampire, but no, it's just our training. Okay, so so it's the kind of perception we superimpose externally, right? Is to overcome this desire, overcome formations. So knowing itself is not good enough. Knowing of a theme, knowing what to investigate. So that is more important, right? So if you want to investigate impermanence, go ahead, investigate impermanence, investigate non-self, go investigate non-self. So there must be a theme to investigate. All right, so that's how the 5 aggregates, right, operate through the 6 sense basis, right? And if a person wants to restrain, we talked about the previous week, there's a physical kind of restraint, like the monastics, we have lots of rules, a lot of things cannot do. That's why we sort of conducive environment to practice, supposedly. Again, depends on conditions. Some laypersons, maybe they live like a monastic, maybe they have early retirement, they are enough wealth to take care of them, so they're full-time retreat participant, full-time retreat at home or whatever it is. So they can self-practice, right? So I think they live more like a recluse, better than maybe better than some monastics who need to work and raise funds to help upkeep the the monasteries, rent and whatever. Yeah. So different people have different kind of conditions. And again, as a layperson, if let's say you're active and working, a person also can practice restraint. So there are many instances where even monastics in the Buddha's time, they are working. They're sweeping the floor and they got enlightened. Right? Where the Satipatthana fanning the Buddha and he got enlightened. So you can do tasks. You don't have to stop doing everything and just sit in full lotus and hope for the best. So good news, you can practice right mindfulness in all activities. Right, so when we talk about right mindfulness, you can do it standing, sitting, walking, lying down, all other activities, talking, listening, turning, eating, going to the bathroom. You can practice this right mindfulness, always mindful of impermanence. So that's actually restraint. Yeah. So I think I covered this. Next. Yeah. So this is where zooming into something more specific. So Terence brought up there's a recent retreat that's contemplating on gratitude. So now we're talking about it. Okay, so this is the items that we have or we are using. So whenever our senses come in contact with the things we use, let's say you are sick of impermanence. You're tired of impermanence. You want to change something else. You want to have some variety in your practice. You want to have more arsenal in your practice. So this is one of them, gratitude and contentment. Yeah, gratitude and contentment. Whatever items you have are your gratitude and contentment. You see other people have other things, right, that you do not have. Also practice some gratitude and contentment. Whatever you have, okay, enough. Then another proactive way is practicing this appreciative joy and rejoice in whatever they have achieved. Okay, and we're going to read through this scripture. By reflecting appropriately, uses the robe simply to counteract cold. Okay, so for example, let's say your clothes, right? What is it used for? Right? Counteract cold, counteract heat, to counteract the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles. Simply for the purpose of covering the parts of the body that cause shade. Okay, so this is the purpose of your clothing. Right, so of course, as a layperson, you have the financial power to purchase clothes. So some people, they want to purchase out of entertainment, out of fashion. This one looks beautiful, very nice, I want to wear it, or looks fashionable. So they, as a layperson, you have the freedom, of course, to purchase whatever you want, but if you practice contentment, right, then if you contemplate this long enough, very soon your wardrobe will get lesser and lesser clothing, or you won't buy new clothing to fill up your wardrobe, right? So this is the contemplation. Once the mind is contented, enough already, wow, I already have clothes with you. What more do I need, right? And for the monks, we have one set of 3 robes. One set of 3 robes. So there are these outer depending on how you talk about. Outer robe, which is used for winter season, is a double layered robe. And we have the upper robe, which what we are wearing most of the time. And we have the lower robe, is something like a sarong. So these are like the 3 robes, one set of 3 robes. So this is the minimum we have, plus the alms bowl. So this is the monk's possession. Anything else is all extra. Like even this laptop that I'm using now, somebody offered. So I don't say it's mine, but it's not offered for the usage of this Dhamma propagation. If let's say I pass away, this thing, Sangha use it. Everything give back to Sangha. So even my robes and bowl also give back to the Sangha. Okay, so I think this picture a bit eye-catchy, but never mind. Okay, next. Okay, next we are going to talk about food. So in the monastics reflection, we have this thing called the 4 requisites. So first are the robes, second is the food, third is the shelter, and fourth medicine. So these are like the basic kind of necessities. So along the way, probably the more and more items, like for example, these gadgets here. But for layperson, you can have as many items as you want, you can purchase, but of course, you want to practice reducing greed and have more contentment. You want to probably better called financial management. This might help. Yeah, this might help. Okay, so next is reflecting on food. So alms food means when the monks go for this alms round. So for layperson, you don't go for alms round, so may not be so appropriate. So what are these alms round? So in the Buddha's time, or rather before the Buddha's time, it is actually a pre-Buddhist kind of practice. Probably like maybe 200 years before the Buddha was born, there was like this Shramana movement where people want to go to the forest, go to the secluded areas to meditate and find answers, spiritual answers. So there's this like popular kind of movement. So lots of people want to become like this monastic or ascetic. So when the prince Gautama, our Buddha's life story, when he was still a prince, one of the 4 sights he saw was this monk. Right, so at that time, that was a popular movement, right? And it was probably still quite new. So he saw it, first time you see this thing, never seen before. Right, but there are many, let's say, Brahmin priests around in the city, in the capital, many priests and astrologers, very common. But first time he saw a monk. So he decided to find out more, and he pursued this Shramana tradition for the rest of his life. And so for his first 6 years, very interestingly, he tried all the different ascetic practices, and there's this thing, he tried extreme fasting. Right? And once he discovered the middle way, when he started to eat moderately, then he sort of discouraged even the monastics to practice extreme fasting. There were even a point of time where the monastics were very comfortable in the forest having retreats. They can pluck their own fruit, or the fruit drop down on the ground, they can just pluck and eat. Right? No need to go for alms round, just meditate, focus on meditation. Right? When you go for alms round, distraction, so much distraction. Sometimes you need to entertain some lay devotees, and need to talk to you or invite you for certain events or functions. Right? Then you make you so busy. So if you just have seclusion, total seclusion, have sufficient food in the forest, then that's very ideal for them. Meditate in peace. So the Buddha discovered that if all the monks were to do it, then the Buddhist religion will go extinct. Right? Nobody will get to know Buddhism. Right? That time there wasn't like social media, no posters, no publicity. So the only publicity they had was the monks going for alms round. So when the monks go to the village, then the villagers say, "Oh yeah, this one got such practitioner." And they will inquire and ask, "Now, who is your teacher? What kind of practice do you follow?" Right? So this is kind of publicity. So the Buddha encouraged the monks to go for alms round, and it's like a requirement, right? And it's they eat at least once. Eat at least once. So this is like a Dhutanga practice, which is moderate asceticism practice. So if the monks don't want to observe this Dhutanga practice, they still can eat from daybreak to noontime, which is the allowable timing for in the precepts. And if they want to go a step further, then they have this Dhutanga practice, which is 1 meal a day. Okay, so I'm going to read through this alms round. And of course, in the Theravada tradition, whatever the lay devotee put in the alms bowl, they have no choice. They cannot discriminate. Yeah, this person from a rich family, they give better food, then you take note of them. Or this person is poorer, give lousy food, and you also take note. Next time, don't go there in future. So no, we don't discriminate, right? So when we go for this alms round, in a monastic rule, interestingly, we are supposed to cast our eyes, our gaze only at the alms bowl. We are not supposed to look at the donor. So no discrimination. So we just be grateful to whoever give us the food. And if you want, we can just chant some dedication to thank them. And that's it. We don't choose. So they give meat, they give vegetables, we no choice, we also eat. Right? But nowadays, depends on context and the culture. Sometimes people can choose, maybe for health reasons or whatever reasons. Again, that is case by case basis. So again, we are going to read through quickly before we end the short sharing. Reflecting appropriately, he uses alms food, not playfully, nor for intoxication, nor for putting on bulk. Maybe some people want bodybuilding. They want to eat more and put on more mass, right? So not for that, yeah. Not for beautification, right? So not to eat for beautifying yourself, but simply for the survival and continuance of this body, for ending its afflictions, for the support of the holy life, thinking, thus will I destroy all feelings of hunger and not create new feelings from overeating. I will maintain myself, be blameless, and live in comfort. Yeah, so this is like the least we can do, because at that time in India, a lot of villagers very poor. Yeah, so the portion of food they give is considered a lot to them already. Yeah? It's like a big sacrifice already. So if we eat playfully or eat for entertainment or eat for the wrong reason, use the energy for wrong reasons, then it's a bit like scamming, cheating the lay donors, right? So that's why we have all these reflection to remind us all the energy has to be spent wisely. Spend wisely. Yeah. Okay. So again, because same you earn your own salaries, you spend. So you take which portion which is suitable for you and reflect. Yeah. Hopefully can reduce some craving. Okay, so I end the short sharing session and I open the floor for Q&A. Anyone have any questions?
One thing.
Yeah, Terence.
I got one question. Yeah. So for this greed or hatred, how small is the greed and the hatred that is not good? Is there a
Okay, this is a very subjective. Very subjective question. Only our view, our understanding of this can be further deepened depending on our depth of meditation or the depth of contentment. The more content the mind or the more silent the mind, then small thing can be considered greed and hatred. Yeah, sometimes very minute things can be quickly identified and arrested. But let's say a person is not mindful, then anything is no suffering, right? Right? To them, normal greed is okay, right? It's part of life, right? So very subjective. So I won't give a standard answer. It depends on each individual. When they progress along the way, then the definition may change. So, but for right now, whatever that cause stress or suffering or tension, then you need to address this at the moment. Yeah. So the more you practice, then the more efficient you're able to catch this stress and suffering, then you're able to identify the kind of greed or hatred that causes it. Yeah.
Bante, I would like to share something.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For me, right, to identify greed and hatred and also delusion, right, is actually going through the daily life, you know, because in the workplace, for instance, right, when workplace is like a mini world. Many people, you know, all kinds of people. So sometimes people look us down, look me down, look down on me on certain things, right? If in that point, right, I feel pain, you know, and you know, in the heart there's a pain. This is actually a defilement. It's actually a greed, because my so-called my defilement of greed is taking over. That's why I feel pain in that one, because I feel like humiliated. Feeling humiliated is actually a sign of there's a root of greed coming up. Then okay, now I understand. Actually, I should not feel that. And then it's going back again to the concept of emptiness. Actually, what is it need to be greed for? What is it need to be? You are more better than me, or I'm less than you. It's nothing. Actually, it's all empty. It's number one. Number two is about hatred, right? Somebody's called me, you know, sometimes the bosses, right? Well, we kind of do that, or you. After that, they scold me, you know. If I feel pain in my heart, there's the root of hatred coming up. Because if there is an anger coming back, then actually there is a sign that this root of hatred is coming up. It's going back again, go to reflection. Actually, it's all empty. Why should I feel greed? Why should I feel hate? You know? Then actually looking at that moment by moment, then actually we can control this kind of suffering, right? It's going back again to the suffering. And then actually, why should I feel that way? It actually disturbs my happiness, disturbs my peace. Okay, just hearing about it.
Yeah, very good sharing from Jan. Yeah, so at least you already have reference point, a certain maybe a certain peaceful state of mind to refer to compare. Maybe some people may not have this peace at the first place, right? So that will affect your view or understanding. So if a person doesn't have any cultivation, doesn't have experience any form of peace, then to them, maybe anger is to them is it feels that kind of void. You know, it feels that kind of emotional kind of void in them, and to them that is very good. It's a must. Yeah,
anger is enjoyable.
Yeah, some is very addictive.
Addictive, yeah. Maybe if you are like in the sauna, right? You feel good, but actually you are in heat. You know, actually it's not good at all. You know, it is heat. You are actually being heated. You know, you are in the kind of environment that makes you suffer. Then you don't feel it because it's like a frog one day. Then actually it's burning you. You know, slowly. You know, it's heating you up until you are cooked. So actually, it's all suffering. Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Peijun, you have something?
Yeah, I have a question. Why is the desire for health considered a suffering?
Yeah, okay. Obligation, to upkeep, to maintain the health, basic function. I think that is all right. But sometimes depends on you need to look how excessive is this desire. Are you going it too far? Are you pushing it too far? Are you like overdoing it? If let's say you're already very healthy, do you still overtake maybe excessive supplements or that kind of stuff? Yeah. So there are various degrees of this desire for health. If overdoing it is wasting, could be wasting time and energy. And you probably can use that time and energy to do something more productive. Okay, no problem. Okay. Like, for example, basic things. Let's say you have your bladder is full, urgent. You need to use the washroom. So that is a form of desire, yeah, but it's not really called a negative kind of desire. And it's out of necessity. Yeah. So we need to eat, we need to rest. So whatever we do, the basic activities in life, basic chores, require some form of intent, right? So it requires a certain form of refined kind of mindfulness to notice, how kanjiong, how much attachment when you apply this kind of intention to daily kind of chores. Some people can do it in a relaxed manner. Some people do it in a very anxious manner. So it depends on each individual. Although it's a necessity, but again, the individual's kind of karmic kind of tendencies are different. So likewise for maintaining health. Yeah, like brushing our teeth, maintaining the certain hygiene or whatever it is. Some people do it in a relaxed manner. Some people do it out of lots of craving. They want perfection. They want total whiteness and teeth, or total free from whatever it is. Yeah, free from germs, free from illness. Totally. So some people can be over paranoid. Yeah, there's this term being over paranoid, which is not healthy. So a person being over paranoid may achieve good health, but being over paranoid, this process is detrimental to the mental health. And the process of trying to achieve this perfect health, right, cause a lot of mental stress already. Yeah. So you need to find moderation and balance. Okay, Yiling, something.
Speaking of restraint, as we know that the monastics, they have 200 over precepts, that namely the Vinaya rules. as an external restraint to make their daily practice more conducive. That is, they refrain from a lot of things. They refrain from a lot of these worldly things. So for us lay people, we can impose ourselves the self-discipline to refrain from things that can jeopardize our spiritual practice. Like for my case, I have because I used to be very, very addicted to this social media like Facebook and Instagram, to the point that enough is enough. I have already deactivated my Facebook and my Instagram for more than over 1 year. I have not been using my Facebook for over 1 year, because in the social media, there's too much of this unwanted information that can induce these negative feelings of anger and envy. Like you go and scroll the feed, you are so envious of how other people post their happy life. You are so envious of other people's achievement, and yes, and this is the measure that I have done. As this is the measure I have done as a mean of as an example of external restraint. External restraint, that is to abandon the things, abandon activities that are not beneficial. But of course, social media can be very beneficial if you use it for correct means, such as you can use social media to spread the Dhamma. But I think, as for me, I acknowledge that I am not spiritually mature enough. So that's why I deactivated my Facebook account, so that I will not waste too much time scrolling all those unwanted posts. Okay, and this is for external restraint. As for internal restraint, because when form and the organ, take for example, when the sight, the image comes in contact with the eye sensitivity, and then perception comes. So because the perception, the cognition will spark in just a minuscule second. So little do we know that when the perception already formed, so this gives rise to how it makes us feel. Is it pleasant or unpleasant, or just so it's just neither pleasant or unpleasant. So take for example when we read comments in the social media that makes us feel upset, it could be some political discussion that talks about the incompetence of the politicians, all those riffraff. So when the mind makes up stories, so can we say that the way we restrain mentally is to just abandon the story the mind creates? I hope you get what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah, this is one technique. There are a few strategies that the Buddha laid out. I can't remember all of them. So one way is if you face such situations, you already came in contact with this stimuli or this perception, the information, you can reflect, either on loving kindness to overcome the hatred, or the appropriate kind of positive emotion to counteract the poison. Right. So if that cannot be done, then the next one is refrain, like what you're doing. You can try to avoid Then there's another one reflecting on your karma. So there's like a bit like upeka, try to be equanimous, right? So all these, whatever we perceive, all the bad news, all these karmas happening to them, also happening to you because of yourself. So externally and internally, both karmas are ripening. Yeah, so this is one way to kind of reflect. Yeah.
One thing I would like to comment something about external simulation, right? Is in relation with jhana, with jhana. So I think, right, there is a lot of pain if we stay in level 0, because all this stimulation, right, actually can disturb our mind, and because our mind not stable, sometimes it's still defiled. Then there are a lot of impacting the mind and have this kind of effect. We are disturbed, we're feeling suffering inside, a lot of pains. So sometimes what I do, right, if they say this is happening a few times to me, because sometimes my supervisors call me, and the way he scold is like, very, very harsh. Actually, I got to level 1. I don't feel anything. No, I don't feel even I don't feel any anger or anything, because in level 1, right, there is no hatred or very minimized, I think. There is no greed. I mean, the kind of feeling of people. So you can just sit there and look at him, and nothing actually affecting me. This is happening a few times. Then he also surprised, how come this person, I scold many times, but he just keep quiet. Even I can answer very calmly, all this, I just try to explain. That's what the trick that I do. I think it's working. Yeah.
Yeah. So these the various levels of concentration is to bring your mind to different kinds of consciousness or different kind of frequencies, right? So the worldly kind of frequency doesn't hit you. Sort of evading to a certain extent.
That's right.
So good strategy. So actually, monks are encouraged to enter concentration. It gives the mind certain contentment. Yeah, it gives the mind contentment. Yeah, so it's helpful additional kind of tools. Yeah.
I remember that the Buddha said to the monk, right? Because the word is very dramatic, Whoever cut your limbs, whoever make you wound, if you feel any resentment or any hatred in your heart, then you are not my disciple. This one, right, not humanly possible unless you have jhana state, I think.
And the simile of the saw, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't go to that level mind, right, you cannot. In level 0 is very unstable. You will get bombarded by this kind of anger, greed, and everything, all past environment. But you must go to the level of that jhana level, right? Then actually you don't feel all that. That is possible. That it is possible, I think. Right?
Either jhanas or higher. There's also
this. Can be an arahant. Don't have any environment at all, right? Then okay, I don't feel anything. Whatever.
Yeah, there's also the vipassana kind of samadhi. Unless the person without jhanas, they're very skilled in entering tranquil states of mind through detachment with impermanence, then that will also work. Yeah.
Can be
requires lots of skill.
Can be through a vipassana state that you understand all this. Actually, it's like impermanent and empty, actually.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, so it's basically the kind of options you have available. So if you have better frequencies as your option, better states of mind as option, then yeah, very good. But some people they never learn meditation, so the only options they have is either to vent out the anger, maybe to curse and swear or fight back, or maybe go and drink beer, to drown their sorrows, gamble, whatever. So all these are the options they have on the table. So very fortunate you guys learn some meditation. So these are actually very useful life skills. Very useful life skills. So you're opening up your options. So if you develop them well, they're very helpful in your life.
Yes, Bante.
Bante, what is your comment for catharsis? Katharsis. Catharsis is some kind of like a method of releasing all the suppressed emotion that you've been carrying for a long period. Like for example, a rape victim or a traumatized victim, they will hit the punching bag, hit it over and over, and they will scream and they will cry, just release all of that tension, release all of that suppressed emotion. And I myself, I have my own way of this, my own my own method of catharsis. That is, I will get a pillow, I will cover my face in the pillow, and then I'll just scream at the pillow, and then the pillow would muffle my scream. So some people would use catharsis as a way of releasing that suppressed emotion. So what is your comment on that? It is helpful for some people, but what is your take?
Yeah, I think would be, even though this is, we call this a circular kind of method, may not solve the root cause of greed or hatred, but it may be a useful kind of solution if, let's say, no, because not everybody can develop concentration overnight, and nobody can develop insight overnight. So you need to release the pressure, if not, you have explosion. So it is a necessary tool to a certain extent, but you cannot rely on this forever. No? Along the way, if possible, then if person can learn meditation, develop something, other means, more sustainable kind of method to solve the problem.
Bante, can I comment also?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, about this, right, catharsis, right? Actually, anger is a form of energy. Sometimes the anger is so big until the energy, right, needs build up, then it needs to explode. So the way that it is done by catharsis method, right, actually is draining out the energy, so that we are tired of getting that feeling, that kind of state. After that, it goes down by itself. But it doesn't really solve the problem, because the next time it's built up again, then you do that again. Actually, it's like, it's like a pressure cooker, right? We try to draining out the energy, but I think the better method is actually trying to control our own energy by meditation, right? For example, like concentrating on the breath, for instance, right? Then just concentrate on the breath, all the energy go to the breath. Actually, all other anger energy will actually come down by itself. But this one needs practice, of course. But we don't have this practice, then the catharsis method maybe is the short-term method of doing that, so that it does not come out, but only in our own environment, small environment. Just the pillow become the victim, not the people, right? But it is not. I think it is not according to, I don't know. It's not Buddhist. It's just it's a secular method actually.
Yeah, Beijing, you have something to add?
Yeah, Bante. So because meditation is where we practice our mindfulness. So once we have some mindfulness, we detect this unpleasant feeling. So we should stop this emotion from rising, right? Is that the right way?
Yeah, we should take note of unpleasant feeling and observe its impermanence.
And to react positively, right?
Yeah, is to overcome any aversion. Yeah.
So this is where the intervention of the Dhammas come in, so that our emotions, that means we don't get angry, we don't get irritated, we don't see something that we don't like, we just go away. Then I just want to escape from that person, right? We just welcome that person with an open hand and say, oh, okay, welcome.
Yeah, ideally, yes, ideally. Yeah, there are certain instances where certain things are impossible to confront. Like let's say if you don't have like the parami of the Buddha to stop drunken elephant, or a serial murderer, then it's better to find escape route. Okay. Anyone else have any issues or questions? Today's Q&A is pretty long. Maybe National Day mood, Independence Day mood. Yeah. Okay, so we have a short break. If there's no other issue, how about the comments on Facebook? Any questions there?
Bante, there's no question from Facebook.
No question. Okay, then if there's no other questions on Zoom here, then we have a 5-minute break. It's 9:30, 9:35. I'll see you back for the guided session. Okay, see you all later. It's 9:35. Let's wait for the rest to turn on the cameras. Angie is here. Okay, while waiting for Angie, any questions from the rest? Or any future topics you want to discuss? No, nothing. Okay, then so while waiting for Angie to return, maybe you can adjust yourselves. Make sure your body is comfortable, your back is upright, and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so we're going to start off with a gratitude meditation. Gratitude meditation. So we're going to thank our bodies first. Grateful to the hairs, the hairs have covered your cells from the sun, protected from cold. So for me, I have to shave my hair all gone, so we know when it's cold, it's really cold and without the hair. So hair is important. So think of the hairs from head to toe, and every time you think of any patch of hair, and be grateful for them. Thank you, hairs. And all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. keep growing and falling, growing and falling. So it's good to be grateful to the hairs, but not grateful with attachment. Can be grateful with detachment. So it's a very gentle kind of gratefulness. So the impermanence will help in that. So you think of hairs growing and falling many, many times. Many cycles of birth and death. And can do a bit of reflection. Are these hairs truly you, truly self? If it is truly self, can you tell it not to go through this birth and death? And the next part of the body, we are going to visualize the nails. And we need to be thankful for the nails. And without nails, we cannot scratch or even open items. So these nails, we need to thank them. Fingernails and toenails. Thank you very much. And all these nails go through birth, aging, sickness, passing away. So they keep growing and falling many, many times. And we can question ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? Okay, and the next part of the body, we're going to visualize all the teeth in our mouth. We wish them well and happy, and be grateful for the teeth. Yeah? Without the teeth, we cannot be chewing the food. So we thank all the teeth. And all these teeth go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So the bone cells of the teeth keep growing and falling off many times. And then we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? And next we can visualize the skin, and all the skin and the entire body from head to toe, and thank all the skin. For protecting our body from germs. So every time you think of a new patch of skin, and just thank them. So one of the benefits of goodwill is the mind will calm down easily. And so gratitude, or the right thought, definition of non-anger can be any emotion, any positive emotion. So loving kindness, compassion, gratitude. So even the Buddha, when he first started out the middle way, first thing he explored is kusala citta and akusala citta. You need to have a wholesome mind before you can even start the journey. So it's good to have this positive and wholesome frame of mind. You not straight away rush into impermanence. You hit a roadblock. Okay, all this skin go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. And it keep growing and falling, growing and falling. Many times, many cycles. Then we can ask ourselves, how this skin truly self? And tell the skin not to go through birth and death. It's going to slowly visualize the things around us, starting from the clothing. Be grateful for the clothing we have, and used to shelter us and protect us from the elements of the weather. And then stand out to the house or your room you're in, and be grateful for the shelter that protect us from all the harsh elements of the weather. I'm not sure in Malaysia, but in Singapore it's raining cats and dogs. And extend out this gratitude to the surrounding neighborhood. And our supplies, our groceries, our food and everything are dependent on everybody interconnectedness. We're interdependent on everybody. So we're grateful for everybody's role. And extend to the whole country, whichever country you're in, it can be Malaysia or Singapore. I'm grateful for the entire country. And so for Malaysians, it's the Independence Day, so it's a good time to practice this or reflect on gratitude. And Singapore just had a National Day as well earlier this month. And we're going to send this gratitude to the entire world and ecosystem, entire forests and oceans that support our life. And we have gratitude to the entire world, all beings. Okay, so maintain this state of mind, and standing, sitting, walking, lying down, with positive emotions, wholesome thoughts. And with that in mind, we can gently open our eyes and still meditation, but with eyes open. So when our eyes close, we still have eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. And when we open our eyes, still the same. Still eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Just that how you exaggerate the flow of this craving. Okay, so any other questions before we conclude? Okay, no, nothing. All very grateful. Okay, and again to show gratitude to all the other sentient beings, we're going to do this dedication chant. And dedicating merits. Akasata Jupumata Devanaga Mahirika Punyakang Anumoditva Tirang Rakatu Loka Sasana Etavata Jambihi Sapada Punya Sapada Sabe Deva Sabe Puta Sabe Sata Anumodantu Sabha Sampati Siddhya. Transference of merits to departed. Idam me nyatina hotu, sukhita hotu nyatayo. Idam me nyatina hotu, sukhita hotu nyatayo. Idam me nyatina hotu, sukhita hotu nyatayo. Aspiration, imina punya kamena, ame bhava samagamo, satan samagamo hotu, yavadi bhana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Any announcements from Terence?
Announcement, but they just a gentle reminder that next week we don't have any class.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, next week I have something on. Okay, so see you the week after next. Okay, all right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Bante.
Yeah, no problem. Good night.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Bante.
Good night, Bante.
Good night.